What's up, you guys? Today we are channeling our ancestors from the 3rd and 4th ward and the 7th ward today, baby. And we're making a gumbo, okay? This is authentic gumbo, okay, baby? So today what we're going to do is, a lot of people like to use vegetable oil for their base. I don't like using that. I like using the Crisco, the butter flavor Crisco, as kind of to start making my roux. So what I use first is, I got that butter flavor Crisco. Let it heat up in this cast iron pan. Y'all know the reason I like using cast iron pans is because it evenly heats. I don't know the ratio between Crisco and flour. I think you use like 1 cup of Crisco and 1 cup of flour. I don't know. I just did it. You know what I'm saying? I just did it. At first I used a whisk, and then I transferred into using that wooden spoon. And that wooden spoon really helps you channel the ancestors. So first thing I did, the reason why I used a whisk at first is because I don't want them little dumplings to happen. And when you have that wooden spoon, it can happen. And you don't want that. So I went ahead and used this wooden spoon, and you're going to just see your roux change colors, okay? This is a long process, okay? This is the reason why people say, oh, gumbo's so hard, because of this step right here. It's just time consuming. But with patience comes great things. So they say the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. That's what it is for this roux. You want it to be dark. I'm talking about you want it to be Hershey dog. I'm talking about you want it to be chocolate. I'm talking about dark chocolate, okay? Right now it's kind of milk chocolate. You're about 20-25 minutes in when you get to this color. When you get to this color, you are halfway to the finish line. And I went ahead and transferred over to that wooden spoon. So now that you're kind of halfway done with your process, now when you get to this color, boom, when you get to this dark kind of milk, dark chocolate color right there, you're done, okay? You're done stirring. You're about 45 minutes to an hour in. Now you're going to pull in your Trinity, which is green onion, bell pepper, celery. I found some already chopped one. I didn't have time. I was making this for an event. I did this gumbo in about 3 hours, which is kind of a short time. Usually I take about 8 hours or so, because I kind of let it sit overnight in a crock pot. But this was a quick one. And when I say quick, and I'm like 3 hours, that's quick. Yeah. Usually it takes about 8 hours, because I make a shrimp stock and all that, but I didn't have time for all that. So to make my chicken stock, I forgot to buy some at the store. I had some chicken bouillon, and then if you want to have it like kind of a shrimp taste, go find you some stuff. It's called dried shrimp, and you just add that in there, and then you're just gonna just stir that up. Let it, after your roux and your celery stuff has sat in your pan and kind of cooked for about 5 minutes, then you're gonna pour that chicken broth in there, and you're going to just stir that up and let it sit and cover it for about 20-30 minutes, because you want all the flavor. The thing about gumbo is building flavors. That's what you do. It's all about building those flavors. So now that you've seen that your roux has kind of rise to the top and your gumbo has kind of turned brown, swamp water, that's what they call it down there, swamp water. Now it has like a little swamp water kind of look to it. Now you're going to go ahead and start adding your meat. And I'm seasoning it up. This is kind of like the first blend of seasoning. So I added some Cajun seasoning. You know how to add that, goyas. But you're going to just season as you go. You're going to keep seasoning a little bit to start, and then as you go throughout the process, you're going to finish seasoning. And you know I had to put in that Tony's. Now for the next steps, you can skip or make it simpler by just putting in your chicken and sausage If you want to just, instead of searing it like I did, I seared the chicken in that cast iron pan that I made the roux in, and then putting that in there. You can just throw them in the oven for about 30 minutes or so on 375, and you can skip that step. And you don't have to sit up there and sear. I seared a lot of chicken breast. I cut it up and I seared it. I did the same thing with the sausage. I cut it up and I seared it. You can skip that whole step without searing it. If you just want to throw them into the oven, season your chicken, okay? Season both sides because you eat both sides. But yeah, you can skip that whole step and you can just throw that in the oven instead of having to sit up there and sear each one. So now that you have let kind of that sausage and chicken kind of sit in there, now we're just going to go ahead and start seasoning it again. So I added some thyme, some onion powder, that slap your mama seasoning, amen. Went ahead and add that. You know, I had to add me a little more goyas. You know, I had to add some garlic powder. You know, I had to add that Mrs. Darsh. You know, I love Mrs. Darsh. Some Tony seasoning. This is where the flavor of your gumbo really starts to kick in 20-30 minutes in after you've sat your chicken and sausage in there. You're just going to give that a stir and just let it sit, marinate. Basically, the most of this process is making your roux and kind of allowing your flavors to build. So you're just going to re-stir this, and then after you stir this at a 20-30 minute mark of letting the chicken and sausage sit in there, you're going to cover it. The only reason why I didn't cover it was because I'm shooting this video, but you want to cover it. The reason why you want to cover it is because when you cover a pot, kind of that steam from the bottom traps it in there, and it just has those flavors just marinating and rotating. As soon as it hits the top, it hits the bottom, you know. So you're going to just cover it. Again, you're just going to let it sit. Keep stirring it, keep stirring it, keep stirring it, let it sit. So now after about an hour or so of sitting, you're going to add in some bay leaves and some gumbo filet. This is kind of the last step. So right now you're probably about 2.5 hours in, right? You're 2.5 hours in, you're adding that gumbo filet, you're adding the bay leaves just to give it another just building that taste on top of this gumbo. So you're about 2.5 hours in, and then you're going to just let it sit again for another 30 minutes. You're going to let it sit, build the flavors, put a lid on top of it so those flavors can just rotate. Hit the top of that, hit the top and go right back down to the bottom. It's just time consuming. That's it. That's the only fear of this is just time consuming. That's it. 3 hours, y'all. 3 hours, maybe 3.5. Let it boil. Let it turn it on high heat. Also, you're going to let this be on medium to high heat. So you want it to be boiling, hot, boiling, like somebody that just got cheated on, just mad. You just want it to be mad and pop you. Let those. Also, remember, after this last 30 minutes, don't forget to take out those bay leaves. And then boom. Look at that. You pour that over some rice, baby, that shit is banging. And please remember to follow me on Snapchat, the Twitters, at Mark2L Nice. And my backup is Mark MARQ 2L Nice98 on Twitters and Instagram. And I will see you guys later. Bye.